So there's a guy in the desert, and he's upset that someone's hurting his baby, and so he starts putting holes in him.
Yeah, that
happens. Anyway,
I'd be upset too.
So the Mandalorian's been off for, I don't know, a little over a month now. It's had its run, and I still love going back and watching the episodes.
Yeah.
The Baby Yoda craze, or the child as it should be referred to, seems to still be hanging in there. I'm getting alerts in my email from Amazon and from Disney. They're like, hey, we got, Yoda merchandise coming out soon. And I'm like, you missed the mark.
I'm going to tell you something.
You're out a little bit because...
when you say Yoda, you mean like Yoda merchandise?
No.
Baby
Yoda. Disney, like, as a whole is referring to them as Baby Yoda. Like, but all the merchandise says the child.
I'm going to say this. It's almost disrespectful at this point because Yoda and what Yoda represents not to the species, but to himself.
Yeah.
Is something up here, right? Like
Yoda has a high ideal and like high reverence.
And Baby Yoda's been around for Boba Fett minutes. And
comparatively, yeah.
Baby Yoda's cute, but like, I mean, did he lift an X-Wing? Like, no.
He lifted a mud rhinoceros.
Was he involved in the training of 2 Skywalkers? No.
That's definitely not. He did something that the newest Skywalker was able to do, though.
Yeah, fuck that. Like, no. I mean, not anything against the child. I understand the child's place in
he can heal people. He has magic hands.
And his ability to use the Force, or her, whatever.
I guess we don't know, do we? What if it is a girl?
Great, but
that'd be interesting.
But the fact that I get that it's the same, like apparently the same species, but something rubs me up the wrong way about just using Yoda, because it's almost like saying, like, a lot of people out here that are like private first classes in the game, but want to refer to themselves as generals, and it's like, you didn't do the crawl under the thing and the tire joint. And throw the grenade and have Chris Evans jump on it. None of that. None of that you didn't do. And it's the same. Like, this baby's been around for like 2 seconds. And is revered. Like, I want the Baby Yoda thing. Like, I'll get a Baby Yoda, the child piece of merchandise when this motherfucker does some shit. You know, so far, the child has done 2 cool things and some cute things.
But most of his reputation, its reputation, is going off of the cuteness. That's how he's living on.
Yeah.
So anyway, I am Adam.
I'm Jeff.
Welcome to the End of the Species podcast. Our third, kind of fourth, Star Wars related episode.
Well, you know what it is that Rise of Skywalker, and we didn't even finish all the stuff we wanted.
Oh my God, no.
We cut off early.
Yeah.
But there's so much that is affected by Rise of Skywalker that we had to split it in 2. But it got me to be able to use a text-to-speech, so and it turns out
that is the important thing, yeah.
Turns out the text-to-speech also hates fucking GameStop. Like, fuck GameStop all day from text-to-speech. Like, I didn't even write that. It was just like, fuck GameStop.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that comes with it? All right. I'm feeling it.
It's a drag and drop. It's like it's got some key catchphrases on the side, and you just click one.
You know what it was?
It adds to that.
It's like,
and that's the top.
That's the watermark. When you don't pay for it, it's like, to remove the fuck GameStop, pay $5. And it just added it to my shit. I like it.
Yeah.
But we did that. Prior to that, we went over Fallen Order, which we're
still fans of.
We enjoyed the game. We enjoyed the plot. We're to some extent we're still going to be playing it because there's stuff still to do and there are other difficulties to master. Mm-hmm. And we would definitely look forward to another installment. And so
I'm looking forward to a lot of Star Wars stuff this year and soon to come, but that might even be another episode. Who knows?
yeah. But in addition, I mean, I think we purposely skipped over anything that was added to Battlefront 2, even though I know there was content there. But
we did. But that's a game that's been out for over. Well, it came out before Last Jedi came out.
Yeah.
So it's been out for a minute. So there's not really like
been out for like 4 years.
Yeah. So like adding a new hero or something to that, I don't know is necessarily.
Like they changed some animations and whatnot, but I don't think it warrants
some rebalancing.
Whole, diving into.
Yeah.
But that leaves us with what we both kind of consider, and this may be oversimplifying it, but the dark horse kind of crown jewel
of this whole thing
of Star Wars 2019
is the Mandalorian.
And not to take anything away again, because sometimes people read too much into stuff. Rise of Skywalker was fucking amazing. It was awesome. But I specifically say dark horse because they announced the Mandalorian and we didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And then it started and you're like, oh shit. And then the show keeps going and you're, wow, this is really good. And it took you on a journey. So I think we covered the first 2 episodes in a previous podcast.
As a simplification to dumb down, there's an entity who works for a bounty hunter guild named the Mandalorian. You don't find out his real name. He's got a
I'm
little bit of a past. I'm
going to just say right now, we're not splitting this up. When was the last episode of Mandalorian came out before New Year's?
The last episode of The Mandalorian came out 2 days, the week after Rise of Skywalker released.
Yeah, December 27th.
Yeah.
So this whole episode of End of a Species is spoiler heavy, and it dives into episodes. We're going to kind of touch on 1 and 2, but we did that already. But we're going to go through 3 through 8 of The Mandalorian, and it's going to be the A-Train Express, right from 125th.
We're going to hit it kind of hard
down
and
to
fast.
Columbus Circle, no stops.
That first 20 minutes of Rise of Skywalker kind of style. Bam, bam, bam.
Word.
So
we're not going to give you like these big old things. This is what planet you're on. Unless it's Tatooine.
because
Tatooine.
Yeah. So Mandalorian works for a bounty hunter guild. He's been doing some work. He's collecting stuff. He gets a special assignment from some ex-Imperial people. They're still Imperial, but like the Empire is not really a thing. So I guess it's like an offshoot, trying to still hang in there. He's supposed to go to this planet, pick up this bounty that's 50 years old. Everyone ages differently. Goes down there, meets up with an Ugnaught who has him ride basically a giant bullfrog. Like it's a, you know what it is? It's a dewback that's cut in half and pasted back together. That's exactly what it is. So
that must be painful.
A blurg. It's what the name of the creature is. So he goes down. He's trained to ride a blurg. He goes down. Meets up with an IG series assassination droid.
IG-11.
IG-11 specifically.
That everybody, when they saw it, was like, IG-88?
Yeah, and they're like, no. But that's a great way to do stuff, too, because if it's close, but not the exact thing that you remember, you're not fucking with anybody's nostalgia. You're bringing some of it back to be like, oh, get attached to this thing, too.
Even for newer stuff, like if you see a K2SO type droid now, you're like,
Yeah, not. And then they rescue. They go in. They're supposed to kill the target. Find out it's a little greenling that's in a pod sphere thing, and the IG unit's like, oh no, we've got to kill it. I was programmed to kill it. Mandalorian saves it. Rescues it. He's like, I'm going to turn it in alive because it's too cute to blow the face off of.
And kills the IG unit.
And in the course of that, he heads back. His starship's been torn apart by Jawas. He can't get off planet. He enlists the Ugnaught to help him navigate with the Jawas after blowing a couple of them away. They tell him to go get the egg. He gets a furry egg from a space rhinoceros. It's called a mudhorn. They give it to him. They eat it sloppily out of there. They give him all the parts back to his starship. He has to rebuild it, get back out into space, launches out, goes back to the planet that gave him the bounty to collect the little guy. And that's kind of where we left off.
Yeah.
When we were first talking about it.
And a quick demarcation note and a little bit of breaking the fourth wall, going behind the scenes. We had a bit of a breakup of the episodes here because some fuckface was chopping down trees outside my house. And it seems like he's done.
We hope.
I just thought I'd point that out because it's starting to, like, the sun is starting to go down a little bit. And I have not heard this goddamn motor for a little while now.
But he was going for like 2.5, 3 hours or so.
Yeah,
for a minute.
And it seems like he was just going at one tree. Not very good at his job. But in any case,
or maybe
whatever.
he just maybe he just needs a new chain. He's trying to earn some money to get a new chain for his chainsaw so he can do his work better.
Don't justify this shit. Like, come on. I mean, anyway. I just thought I'd vent for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
As a good separation from the third episode, which was the first shit is hitting the fan episode, and like we're about to show you some shit.
Yeah.
And
so it starts off relatively quietly. Mando shows back up, turns in the child to Herr Gestalt or whatever of the Imperial occupation that's there. That they seem the Empire seems like they're kind of in hiding, but not quite, because like they're not marching the streets. They're not on guard duty. It seems like they're just protecting this one guy.
Yeah.
But he turns him over to a doctor. They're gonna do some stuff. They walk the kid into another room. He leaves, goes, collects his money, and then he's given some additional targets to go claim. He climbs into his ship. He's about ready to set sail, and he's like, nah. And then he turns the ship back off, goes back to this Imperial outpost, and then starts just laying waste.
And there's this little moment where he sees, and I'm going to make a confession here, where he sees the little sphere where the child was in.
He's got a control knob that's got a shiny silver ball on it that unscrews, like most stick shifts.
No, but I'm talking about when he goes back and he sees the big old sphere that the kid was in, that followed him when he hit the controls on his wrist.
Oh, you mean that one? Yeah,
that was his Schindler's List little red dress thing moment.
Yeah, and it's because it's in the garbage, basically.
Yeah, and so I'll admit when this whole series started, I was like, ugh, I hated the child thing, and so I got a little happy because I'm like, did they put this thing in a meat grinder and it's gone? We don't have to.
You're getting all the hate mail now. You're like, you wanted baby Yoda in a meat grinder.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of did. The character's grown on me since, but I'm just gonna say that moment where I was like,
it would have made for some compelling television, some compelling story time, but. We were also talking on our previous episode of how we didn't want this to turn into Willow, where the guy is protecting the baby the entire time and whatever. But anyway, he goes into this Imperial outpost. He starts laying waste to stormtroopers, just blowing them away. Backtrack. He went back with his payment and got new armor, like full set. Like I think he's just missing the boots. The boots didn't drop for him to collect.
I didn't see boots, but who knows?
But he's got full new shiny armor and some new wrist rockets and some new weapons and ammunition and whatever. He has a little bit of a spat with some of the other people who don't believe that he should be there. They have like a little vibroblade fight where they're kind of trying to stab each other.
It was a little bit of a measuring contest, for lack of a better term,
wits, right? That's what we're talking about, measuring of wits. Yeah. Okay. And so there's a little bit of a fight there, but the woman that's in charge of everything kind of let them know, and that's where this next phrase started, where this is the way.
This is the way. That
Mandalorians have survived past the destruction of Mandalore, I guess, the occupation of Mandalore from the Empire. And so they had that little bit of a spat, but he got his new armor, goes and gets his new bounties, and then now we're back up. So he goes in, finds the doctor. They're pulling juice or something out of the kid. He's like, oh, he's not hurt. He's just weak. You know, Mando picks him up, and then he starts making his way out, blowing everybody away. Starts making his way to his ship. Herr Gestalt, or whatever his name is. I can't remember what the character's name is. He's thick German accent.
You think I'm getting hate mail?
He puts the bounty back on. All the people that had, bounty trackers for this kid turn back on.
A little bit of a John Wick moment.
Yeah, and so everyone starts heading to the streets to kind of get theirs because hey, there's big payment in this
Word.
thing.
I want Beskar shit.
Yeah, and so he's met in the alley by just bounty hunters and scoundrels and Carl.
I just see Gary Oldman going, everyone,
and Carl Weathers. He's there, and they're like, "Hey, we can work this. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Not exactly those words, but we can start a fight, or you can just turn them over, and then that'll be the end of it." And Mandalorian starts shooting, blowing stuff up. He's taking cover, and there is a point where oh, he's going down. Yeah, he's surrounded. They keep shooting. He's losing, and the house party protocol happens. And every Mandalorian with a jetpack and a Gatling gun flies over the city and lands and starts just blowing everyone away. And they're like, you gotta get out of here. And then this is the way.
This is the way.
Boom, boom, boom. People are flying. Carl Weathers gets shot, but he doesn't die. Because he got his own payment for getting the kid, and he had Beskar steel in his jacket pocket, and that's what took the hit.
And I think that kind of gives you an idea as to why sometimes the Mandalorian will take shots and it doesn't penetrate.
It doesn't penetrate. There's also I not to promote another channel, but I love everyone around here. Go ahead. There's a huge description on another YouTube channel called Because Science, and describes how blasters work and why stormtrooper armor is not necessarily the worst thing ever, and why that might work and stuff. It's a very interesting idea of how blasters and the armor in the Star Wars universe might work. So just as a thing. Anyway, go check them out too after you finish this video. So he gets in his ship, takes off. A Mandalorian flies up next to him on a jetpack, and says good luck, or gives him a thumbs up. I don't know if he said. I don't remember. I don't think he says anything. And he's gone.
Which brings us to the Bryce Dallas Howard written next episode.
Next episode, which is Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And he lands on another undescript planet that's more like forest, kind of. Definitely not jungle. But more wooded and small camps. There's no heavy cities or civilization. And a small farming community that harvests a blue glowing liquid that has blue glowing fish in it.
Yeah.
Is under siege by raiders. And he is enlisted to help them, the lone gunman in the old Western. And he's hired to help them, and then through his little bit of interaction, he finds out that they're in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, yeah, I can hide there for a while. And then he doesn't really want the payment, but he gives the payment to somebody else for help, which happens to be a retired
rebel shock trooper.
A rebel shock trooper who took part in the Battle of Endor. And Cara Dune. I think it's Cara Dune. It's something Dune.
Yeah. Cara
Dune. And she had when he's in town, he meets her through a little bit of fisticuffs. He thinks there's something suspicious about her. He follows her around. He gets ambushed by her. He gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
and he's about to set her on fire, and then is interrupted by Baby Yoda sipping soup. The child watching the fight happen, and he's sipping soup.
And I'll say this. I like that. That's kind of where I hadn't fully turned by then from meat grinder to like, but I was okay. So he's on the side, and every now and again he'll do some Force stuff, but he's kind of like the comic relief, like levity, give a moment, like bust up something on the ship kind of thing, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So he's not taking a whole lot of like direct control over scenes or story direction or anything like that. So he's coming into his own kind of thing. But but Mandalorian takes his job to protect the city from these raiders, and then come to find out they have an ATST, an old, ex-Imperial chicken walker. That they've painted and modified a little bit, and it's got those like evil glowing red eyes, but they come up with a plan to a la Army of Darkness train these yokels into being
that's interesting with the Star Wars storytelling, because in 83 you land in a spot and they didn't have to teach Ewoks nothing.
Oh yeah,
they just came out and did it. And then fast forward, and the storytelling has evolved to where now you have this almost, I don't want to say cliche, because, I mean, it is used a lot, but I wouldn't say it's overused. But now it's, we're bringing this to the locals for them to arm themselves.
Yeah. Mandalorian breaks out his, like, giant chest O weapons and, like, starts just handing out blasters to everyone. They're like, just don't point it at anybody. And he trains them, and they're getting ready, and they come up with a plan for an ambush. They take down, the Mandalorian and Cara Dune go into the camp to kind of like blow some stuff up and cause chaos in the middle of the night, and then they're chased back to the village by the raiders and the chicken walker. And they end up taking it down through the use of like some traps and, general construction design issues that arise with having an ATST. And they win, and he stays there for what I can only say is probably a couple of months to like kind of hide out, and he develops a sort of a love interest in this thing, and they're asking him to take off the armor and hang it up, and like, hey, you could relax and do this and that, and then there's
this is not the way.
Yeah, this is not the way. And then we'd close at the end of only 4 episodes. Who wants that? And there's another bounty hunter here and tries to snipe the child, and he's taken out at the last second by Cara Dune, who found him off in the woods, and is like, hey, you're being followed now. They got trackers on you. So he packs it up, says his goodbyes. Cara doesn't go with him, and he gets in the ship and then takes off, and he's out. And
he leaves.
He leaves, and then he is probably back in space for what I can only assume is another couple of months. Because there's definitely some time passage that's happening through here, but they don't describe it exactly.
And I like that, because we can discuss it and argue it, behind the scenes.
And there's some fun in just letting your audience do that.
Yeah,
and speculate.
And some of the stuff is like, oh, well, how much time happened between this episode and this episode, and by the time the season's over, you can go back and kind of say, well, what about the behind the scenes stuff in planets that we weren't on? You know, like for example, we'll revisit IG-11 later and think about that kind of interaction. Yeah, but when we go to the Gunslinger, which is episode 5. We have a bit of a chase, and after the chase, we need to repair.
We need to repair the Razor Crest.
Razor Crest.
And where do we go for any kind of ship repair?
Of course,
in the Star Wars universe,
you'll never find.
It's like, oh, it's controlled by the Hutts. They'll never find us. They'll never find us here. It's like, we can't take the princess to a place controlled by the Hutts. The Hutts are gangsters. Yeah, they are. And they have this piece of shit planet in the middle of nowhere. And we ended ended up here for some reason.
Again. So now we're in on Tatooine.
We're on Tatooine.
Not just on Tatooine.
We're in Mos. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong. We're in Mos Espa.
No, I think it's Mos Eisley. It's on Mos Eisley.
It's in Mos Eisley?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are in the wretched hive of scum and villainy as predicated by Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we land in Docking Bay something. And it very well could be the same Docking Bay that the Millennium Falcon was in. We don't know.
We have no idea. But the cool part to me about some of this stuff, and it's the same thing as like when, somebody, for us, for the viewer, we see the child and we're like, oh, that looks just like Yoda. But for the characters on this show, I'm sure they've heard the name Yoda, and that was a great Jedi Master, and the legend is... But they have no clue what Yoda looked like.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, they don't even realize... Everybody's in there, and they don't even realize that the great Han Solo and the Jedi Luke Skywalker that blew up the first Death Star and had a hand in killing the Emperor and is a legend, made his first start at everything in this very piece of shit fucking spaceport.
Dust-balled, prairie oyster of a town. Yeah.
And they have, so they're all, oh, is this, I mean, if this had been like Earth, Mos Eisley would have been a national monument with fucking lines and tickets to go in and be like, yeah, this is where the blue milk and the guy's hand got chopped off and the whole shit. And over there, Greedo died, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah, there's a plaque where Greedo died. They've glassed in that whole booth.
Yeah,
it's all glassed over with a plaque there and everything.
Some say he shot first, but like in the Star Wars universe, it's just Mos Eisley. Like whatever, I don't care. That was a Thursday.
Yeah,
so many people had was he here? They probably couldn't pick Luke out of a lineup now. From that day, like, was he here that day? I don't know. I see all sorts of fucking weird shit.
The human? Yeah, I don't know. We only get a few of those.
Yeah, every now and again. Him and Han or something.
Yeah.
So is that the guy who owes me money?
Yeah. So he's met at the docking bay by strangers with candy, and she's. So she shows up and she takes a liking to the kid. With her little interactions, and she's got a set of pit droids that are making a mess, and he doesn't like droids working on it. He wants her to do it because he doesn't trust droids for whatever reason that you find out later. And then he's basically out of money at this point. He spent all his money on his fancy armor. Now he doesn't have any money to eat, which is a lesson. Be conservative with your money, or if you're not going to make sure that you have steady income.
Prioritize food.
Yeah, prioritize food, shelter, and clothing. And
if you travel from planet to planet, fuel.
Yeah. So he goes to the local cantina there, which it looks like the same cantina from episode 4. I don't know if it's got a name or not, but it's the same cantina. He talks to the bartender asking if there's any local bounties, local trouble that you got any local trouble? You got any local trouble that he could handle there? And they're like, no, it all goes through the guild. And then there just happens to be a guild member there who's like, hey, I've got a bounty and I kind of know who you are. I need help, taking them down because though I have all the gumption and ambition in the world, I have zero skills to translate into it, and I need help finding them. So he agrees to help this kid, track down an Imperial sniper, spy, assassin.
The target.
The target. She happens to be very good with a sniper rifle. Another bounty hunter has gone after him before, and they find him being dragged by his was it a bantha? Or was it it was a dewback.
Dewback, yeah.
He was being dragged by a dewback because he got shot off of his mount. And then so they take cover and they wait until nighttime, and then they're going to mess with her scope by firing flares into the air, and then they go and hunt her down. They lose one of their speeder bikes in the process, but they end up getting her captured.
Yep.
And then the Mandalorian tells the kid, hey, you watch her. I'll go get the dewback, and then we'll ride back into town.
This is why everybody should have a good pair of headphones and a very loud playlist.
And so he tells the kid to watch her, and then she sits there and says, "Oh, you don't know who that guy is? He's got a bounty on his head from the guild because he's got another target with him that he rescued, and
it's definitely bigger than mine.
Yeah,
I'll split it with you.
Yeah, and he, like an idiot, he blows her away." And like, you're not gonna take you're not gonna take a Mandalorian on by himself. Even if you do get an ambush, you need superior firepower. And he's just got all he's got. Not to mention, he's got he had a pistol. That's all he had.
Not to mention, he does that, and his very next move is to go for the thing that inspired the Mandalorian to take out a fleet of fucking Imperial stormtroopers. So he goes back to Mos Eisley and goes, "I'm gonna take the kid hostage."
Yeah, good job there. Yeah, piss off the guy with all the heavy artillery and is gonna take more than one or two shots from you.
Here's another lesson for you kids: a bird in hand with handcuffs on and already caught is worth 17 Mandalorians with huge fucking bounties on them.
So Mandalorian goes back, finds out what's going on, ends up blowing the guy away. Pays off what little was left.
With the money of the guy he killed, by the way.
Yeah, with the money of the guy he killed.
Gangster.
Pays off his repairs, sets sail, flies off, and then it is impressive, R2.
R2 has fallen over.
He's fallen over again. Man, you gotta get his third leg going again.
R2 is drunk.
He's probably got too much power. He probably could do with running amok a little bit.
Maybe.
So he's back out in space, and then we now have the episode titled "The Prisoner."
Oh, Bill Burr episode! Shout out to Bill Burr.
Shout out to Bill Burr.
Monday morning podcast. Glad you made it to the Star Wars universe.
Yes. So Bill Burr's on there, and he gets recruited by an old friend to come be part of a job, because I guess he was part of an Ocean's 11 type crew before, and they hire him to do another job where they're going to rescue a prisoner from a Republic prison ship that's between hyperspace jumps. So they're going to they need his ship because it's got, transponder ID scrambler and can cloak, has some sort of cloaking thing or whatever. It's small enough to weasel its way in there.
And spoiler alert, also because it has the Mandalorian.
Well, it has the Mandalorian, but they made the mention that they wanted his ship more than they wanted him.
Yeah.
But, they need him too, because as we can see, they weren't prepared for what was going to happen to them. So they make this trip to this prison ship, and then make their dock. They discover that he has the child on board, and they're ready to kind of smash it, and he gets all defensive about it. No force powers or anything are really discovered by them, but they've got kind of like a protocol droid flying the ship, because it can do it with pinpoint maneuvering by interfacing or something. So it flies, docks, they board the ship, Mandalorian, and then it's Bill Burr, the girl, and then a big dude.
A big dude, a Twi'lek.
Yeah.
And Bill Burr.
And then Bill Burr and then Mandalorian. And they're the entry team. And they're going around, they have to make their way to sneakily to the bridge to turn off everything. And make sure that no one sets any alarms off, and then they're going to go get the prisoner out. So in some pretty proficient displays of the Mandalorian taking out combat droids and Republic, guard droids and blowing some stuff up, you're like, oh, wow. The Mandalorian's got some additional skills that we didn't know he had. It's pretty impressive. And then Bill Burr makes a comment of I could do that.
Yeah.
It was I didn't think he could do it either. And they keep moving through. They kind of start splitting up, but you feel like there's something that's not quite vibing right. And then they discover that, like, he's part of, like, the point of, like, they're going to make him the fall guy. So they're going to make the Mandalorian be captured at the end of this, and they're going to steal his ship and his ward.
And the kid.
His young ward. That's what I was saying. They're going to steal him and the kid, and they're just going to leave him in a prison cell or whatever. And they rescue what ends up being the Twi'lek girl's brother. They pull him out of that, and then they lock Mandalorian in a cell. He's able to, with the use of, cunning or whatever, get a droid arm to unlock the door, so he gets out, and then he starts taking them out kind of like one by one.
Yeah, that's his Batman moment.
Yeah.
Like turning off the lights, appearing in one spot.
Like showing up quick behind them.
And they sort of leave it open, like, what did he do with the crew? Did he kill them all?
Yeah, they don't really tell you. But they have a certain amount of time to get out of the ship because the guard that was at the bridge alerted the Republic. But you have like 30 minutes.
He had a location beacon that he
so
pressed the button on,
and press the button, and it's supposed to send ships to come rescue them. And so you've got it was like 20. They had like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever to get to where it is that they needed to go. And so in this time frame, the Mandalorian takes them all out. You don't really see what happens to them, but they're all knocked out. But like it comes to a terms of he was hired to rescue the brother. The brother's the only one left. So he puts the brother on the ship. Baby Yoda takes out the droid that was piloting the ship because he got like suspicious, and then Baby Yoda's like, much to learn, have you?
That hurt my soul. I'm crying in the studio here, guys.
Oh, you're fine. And so they release from the Republic ship. They make their way back to that star base that he originally got contracted at. Turns the guy over to his old boss, and then like takes his cut of money and leaves. But little do we know that the guy had the locator beacon left on him,
like a kick me sign.
Yeah, with the little like in the guy's like shirt, pants, something, whatever.
He had it on his person.
He had it on his person. Mandalorian leaves, and then 3 X-Wings show up, and they're like, that's where the locator beacon is. Oh, that's where the guy, like, well, we know what to do. Blow it the hell up. And so the Mandalorian hyperspaces out. These 3 ships.
Let me ask a question, though, because they got visual on a little bit of the ship.
Uh-huh.
What if they had made it to that Republic prison cruiser, and taken a hostage, and brought him back, and that's who has the location beacon? They could have just killed that dude.
Yeah, they could have, but they wanted to wipe out the whole base. Like, it's obviously like smugglers and pirates.
Yeah, let's get rid of them.
Let's get rid of it.
Wipe them out.
Yeah, so
all of them.
They proton torpedo the shit out of that place. And it all blows up, and then, they're left feeling stupid because they're dead.
At this point, I didn't even think of it when I saw this episode, but it's probably a bad idea to hire the Mandalorian for some shit and give him money.
Yeah, probably. At least do it, like, unrespectfully. Like, you're trying to, like, play 2 different sides of the same coin kind of thing. Like,
you better let them know up front. Look,
yeah.
I'm an asshole, but I'm giving you this money. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Because I don't want you coming back later and,
yeah,
ruining my shit.
So,
but keeping my money.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
So the Mandalorian leaves with his cut, finds out that there's a small little thing of the people that were on his crew are now all locked in that in one of the prison cells on the prison ship. So they're all there. So hopefully in season 2, some of them will make a repeat appearance, maybe.
Maybe Maybe they'll come back for some some vengeance.
As a quick note, I don't remember all of the people, but the 3 pilots of the 3 different X-Wings, one of them is Dave Filoni, and then the other 2 were other like directors or writers of Star Wars stuff. So Dave Filoni did Clone Wars and Rebels and
wrote a couple of episodes of this, or 1 episode.
I think he directed 1 episode of this. I think this was the episode he directed.
He wrote The Gunslinger, so the episode before this, and I don't have this memorized. I'm looking this up, guys, so it's cool.
Yeah.
And this episode was written by Chris Yost, and Rick was the director, Rick Famuyiwa.
Okay. So in any case, they're all like producers, writers, directors, something of this. So it was kind of like a nice little part to play. And if I remember, the guy who pressed the button, the guard, the human guard that was on the bridge, he's someone too from another Star Wars thing.
Okay.
I don't quite remember. I have to go back and look at like IMDb or some shit.
You could tell we do a lot of research.
Lots of research
prior to pressing record on this.
And so from that
check
episode,
out our e-begging segment if you want to know about what you should contribute to this cause.
Yeah. And then so that was episode what, 6?
6, which brings us to 7 and 8. Well, we could do 7 and 8. Instead of separating them, they're kind of like 2 parts, almost like a 2-part of the same episode.
Yeah, and they're the longest episodes. If I had a complaint about this show, it's that the episodes are too short. They're only about a half hour. It
would be cool if the episodes were this short and they were released Netflix style. Like, here's season 1, just binge it.
Yeah, but you can binge this thing in an afternoon. Like, it's not that bad.
It's like what, maybe 5 hours is the whole season, maybe.
Yeah. So, because the last 2 episodes are like 40. The last episode is like 59 minutes, and the episode before that is like 47 or something like that.
And the rest are in the 30s.
The rest of them are like 30s or under. I think it goes from anywhere from 27 minutes to like 36. So yeah, you can bang through this in an afternoon.
If you haven't watched it and you're listening to this,
what the fuck is wrong with you?
There's something. Seek help.
Go watch it. It's not that bad. Disney Plus is not that expensive. It's half the price of Netflix right now. If you have Verizon, I think they give you a year for free if you have a data plan with them, an unlimited data plan or something. In any case, 7 and 8 is an interesting part because he's contacted by Carl Weathers, who we thought may have been dead, or he thought may have been dead, but we find out that he's not. And he's telling him, like, hey, things are really bad here. And I'm not making any money anymore, and I want you to come back so we can work something out. And then
cue Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap. And he wants you to come. He wants to come work some stuff out, and then wants you to work for the guild again. But he knows that it's a trap, so he kind of, pre-plans his arrival and shows up with Cara Dune. He goes and picks her up from that forest.
We gotta get our crew together.
And he picks up the Ugnaught, who also happens to have found and rebuilt IG-11, who is now
reprogrammed.
IG-11 is not only reprogrammed, but he's a nurse droid. He's like almost like a protocol droid. It's
kind of on the nose, though, to have an Ugnaught who does not have kids to reprogram IG-11 as a nurse droid.
Yeah,
who's supposed to protect a baby.
Yeah, it's a weird concept, but droids are droids. It's a machine. It'll do what you need it to do.
Yeah. We just don't want it killing anymore, unless it's in defense of, what is it, Asimov's 3 laws?
Yeah. Isaac Asimov. So he gets a crew together and goes and talks to Carl Weathers, who also has a crew, and they explain that the town that he was in is all imperialed up. They've got a garrison there now. They're under lock and key. He can't get any work done. He's kind of excommunicated from the guild because of what Mandalorian did to him. So they're trying to work some stuff out.
If you see the crew, right, you instantly know. Like, for me, as soon as I saw the crew, I was like, oh, they're not gonna make it
because
this is as expendable a crew.
They might as well be wearing red shirts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Because they're just general faceless Weequay, right? And yeah, mostly, yeah. So they're gonna make this trek on Blurgback, the half dewback things,
Yeah,
and a couple of speeders and whatnot. So they're gonna make their way from where the Mandalorian ship is left to the town where they're gonna try and pull a fast one or whatever. So they make camp, and then they're attacked by pterodactyls. They don't describe what they are. They're not Minox.
Khaleesi's dragons.
Yeah,
we'll call them Khaleesi's dragons.
There's some kind of dragon thing, pterodactyl thing. Then they start picking off the crew.
Third tree from the left.
the unnamed crew, and carrying them off into the night to like eat them. And they're like, well, I don't understand why they had this camp and a big ass fire, and it didn't keep any of the predatory animals away. But you go under a tent, like make a big tent or something.
Yeah.
But in the process, Carl Weathers gets hurt, and then the baby
almost apparently fatally wounded.
Yeah, fatally
he's
bad.
Toast.
He's going down. He's not breathing. Apparently, there's a poison in it too. There's a poison or infection, immediate infection or something that sets in. And Baby Yoda, the child, reveals his latent force ability of force healing, which you will later see in The Rise of Skywalker.
Which is, by the way, if you keep up with the, I guess, publications that follow Star Wars, it was very heavily hinted that before you watch Rise of Skywalker, you should watch this.
Yeah. It's not required, but you should watch it.
Yeah.
And I think
that's the reason why.
And that's the reason why. And also, I think just because, to satisfy general hater culture, it's easier to let a beloved character, the child, introduce a new force power than it would be for
Mary Sue to do it?
For Mary Sue, Daisy Ridley, Rey, Palpatine, Skywalker to do it and be like, she can't do that, shoot her or something. As opposed to letting the widely adored, Baby Yoda do it, and then they're like, "Oh, isn't that cute?" And then okay, it's cute here, it's established. Now Rey can do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like how in Rogue One they had, they could track through hyperspace, I mean, Last Jedi still succumbed to hater culture for tracking through hyperspace, but you can't win.
Well, even then. You still haven't watched Rebels, right?
No.
Okay, you need to watch Rebels because that whole plot summary of the discussion of tracking through hyperspace is in Rebels. There was a whole Imperial technical bureau that was working on the ability to do that, and then the Rebels blew up that facility to make it so they don't have they lost the tech to do that anymore, and then they obviously didn't lose all of it, or the research started up again because now the First Order has it. So it was, predetermined that this was going to be a thing. But in any case. Anyway, so Baby Yoda, the child, heals Carl Weathers. And and then the next morning they set back up to go into the town. But they leave the child with the Ugnaught while they make kind of their entry. They're kind of going to play we've got the kid, but we don't have the kid.
I have spoken.
Yeah, I have spoken. They go in, they kind of get ambushed in the cantina, by Herr Gestalt. The place is surrounded by stormtroopers. There's the proprietor of this apparent whole project, Moff Gideon, who's going to arrive to discuss negotiations, but they end up having to blow a lot of people away.
Including Herr Gestalt.
Herr Gestalt gets blown away. Then they find out that there's some scout troopers that are chasing down the Ugnaught guy who has Baby Yoda. He's trying to get back to the Razor Crest to kind of lock up and fly off so they can get the kid away. they start the Mandalorian, Carl Weathers, and Cara Dune start taking fire, and they're getting blown up in the cantina. Moff Gideon arrives in a TIE fighter, and they start setting up an E-Web blaster. They're like, "Hey, you know what this is? We're gonna start blowing you away.
It's over.
It's over. You better come out and bring me whatever it is you've got." And then, the Ugnaught guy gets blown away. He dies. The scout troopers collect the child and then start making their way back towards the city. Lo and behold, though, they are also like, I'm just going to take a second. Like, these two scout troopers.
Isn't Jason Sudeikis one of them?
I have no idea. He might be.
I thought he was one of them.
But these two scout troopers have to be some of the most hated characters in all of the Star Wars universe right now.
Really?
I think so, because like both of them, like full on, like shoulder cocked and everything, punch Baby Yoda in the face. So as soon as that shit happens, I'm sure there's fans that are calling for these guys' blood. Like they're like,
yeah,
no.
But you know how it works though. Is like, yeah, they did some dumb shit, but they were funny though. Like their banter was outrageously hilarious.
I loved it because there was this great, it's so rare to see, great just Pulp Fiction-y, like what do two like hitmen say on their ride to the hit, like and the bullshit they talk about. It was kind of that level. Like what do two stormtroopers talk about while they're waiting for their boss to decide if they're going to blow something up or if they're going to do whatever.
And also continuing the run-on gag of stormtroopers can't shoot.
They can't hit anything. They take the time to just kind of like shoot a rock, and they're both taking turns and shaking the there's something wrong with the blaster, obviously. We can't hit it. But
there's
then
lag in the input. Got dropped.
So they're sitting there waiting for like their orders to do something, which don't come, and then IG-11 shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm the kid's nursemaid. You need to give him back to me now." And they're like, "No, that's not happening. Unacceptable." And then IG-11 tears them apart.
Because IG-11 can shoot.
Because he can shoot. Yeah, he's got his skills. They're still locked away in there, but like his prime directive has changed. He's now allowed to harm an OCP officer or whatever. So he gets on the speeder bike, and I guess he's gonna make a rescue of the Mandalorian. Like he rides in there, blows away like 20, 30 stormtroopers, walks into the bar like it's nothing. Is like, "Hey, I'm here to protect the kid." Like, what do you need me to do? And
IG-11 had a funny way of doing that by bringing the kid right in the middle of
in the middle of all the chaos.
Everything.
Yeah. You would think he would have taken him back to the ship, but that's less dramatic.
And flown off.
Yeah. But anyway, so they start fighting their way out, and they don't like quite make it. There's a flamethrower trooper that shows up. Mandalorian gets like concussed into a wall. They're trying to figure out a way out. They're still in lockdown. Moff Gideon's calling for blood. They cut a hole in IG-11 cuts a hole into the sewer where everyone leaves.
Schindler's List their way out.
Yeah, they crawl in the sewer, and then IG-11 is going to stay there while the Mandalorian is openly refusing to have medical treatment to a head wound because he won't take his helmet off.
This is the way. And
then he's like, "I'm not allowed to take it off in front of any living person." And he's like, "I am not." And then IG-11 says, "I am not alive," and then takes his helmet off. We are given the Mandalorian's real name, which is Din Djarin. I think it's
yes,
Din something.
I just had that in front of me too.
I think I did. Hey, Din Djarin. That's it. I've got it. Din Djarin. We find out some more about his past, about how he was rescued during the Clone Wars by Death Watch, a Mandalorian group. Rescued him from some super battle droids, but his parents died, and he was intaken by a group of Mandalorians and then raised to be a Mandalorian. That's why he's kind of an outsider, because he's not blood. Mandalorian. He's an adopted Mandalorian.
Converted.
But IG-88 or IG-88, IG-11 applies a Bacta spray and some intravenous, healing.
Bacta technology has improved a lot since, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. So it's in a spray, and then IG-11 carries him into the sewer, puts his helmet back on. They start making their way. They meet Forge, the Forge lady.
Yeah.
The leader. Apparently, the Empire came in and wrecked house with all the previous Mandalorians because there's like a pile of all their armor that she's melting back down into bricks to use. She gives him a jetpack, lets him restock on missiles and weapons. All the weapons.
Yeah.
And then she gives him his symbol, and he tells him he's a clan of 2 now. Him and the child. His symbol is the Mudhorn. And then wishes him luck and then tells him to get out. And then stormtroopers eventually find her, and then you see her just break faces.
Yeah, she's not a joke.
They make their way to like a lava river that they're going to take a lava boat to kind of like sneak out of the city. And then they surprisingly get this R2 unit that it was the most surprising thing to me in this entire episode, because it's like under like molten rock that's dried, and they crack it open, and then like it's like a gondola, and the R2 unit is the pilot or the boatman.
Yeah.
and it grows up, and it's got like arms and legs. It's like a Schwarzenegger R2 bot pushing its way through. It was the most surprising. I was like, what am I looking at? And they make their way out.
Still not as cool as you are, too.
Yeah, of course. They make their way out. IG-11 and his sensors senses that there's an ambush waiting at the end of the tunnel of stormtroopers and such. So he voluntarily self-sacrifices to wade through the lava up ahead a little bit, and then detonate himself, blow himself to smithereens to kill all these stormtroopers. They make their way out. And then they're starting
kind of Terminator 2 like, right?
Oh, did he blow himself up in Terminator 2?
Well, no, he
self-sacrificed.
Moved himself into the lava.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. So then they're making their way out, and then Moff Gideon flies over in a TIE fighter. It's like, I don't know why they don't have like a squadron of TIE fighters. It's just the one driven by the guy that's in charge. They don't have a Star Destroyer.
I think one of the things you need to be high up in anything in the Empire or First Order is overconfidence.
Yeah. Your fleet is lost. So he's doing flyby passes, shooting at him. Mandalorian puts the jetpack on. Carl Weathers is saying, Baby Yoda, do the magic hand thing and we can win. And Baby Yoda does something cute. And then Mandalorian flies up, snags the TIE fighter with a grappling cable, sets some thermal detonators on it, releases, and then blows that ship out of the sky, blows a wing off, and it spirals down.
Because for those of you who don't know, twin ion engine fighters don't really have shields.
The Imperial ones don't. They rectified that in the First Order. Order. It was like, yeah, shields seem to be like nice. We should put some shields on some shit.
You see how we keep shooting at these X-Wings and nothing happens?
Yeah.
But when they shoot us, we explode?
So he lands. There's some heartfelt goodbyes. Mandalorian takes the child, flies up into the sky, and then, I guess, makes his way to his ship. He kind of cuts out from there. You get credits, and then we have an after-credits scene of the crashed ship, and the ship get a hole cut open in it, and then it turns out that there's like not only is Moff Gideon alive, but he has the Darksaber, a cherished Mandalorian artifact usually held by like the leader of a particularly strong clan, and he has that like I'm assuming as a war trophy. But like
the story of that, we don't know who the last person that had it was, because it's seen to be held by the leader of Death Watch, and then it's given to Darth Maul. He has it for a bit. Then we know Sabine Wren gets it from Rebels, which you haven't watched, and then she gives it to the warrior sister of Satine, which is the woman from Mandalorian that Obi-Wan was kind of in love with, but he never said he was in love with. But like, you fly halfway across the galaxy to like help fix some general problems for a girl, and you're a Jedi, like, you can probably have feelings for her.
Sacrilege. Blasphemy.
Probably. And any case, like, he's got it, and you're like, what the hell? Like, and then he leaves it off, so it's like, oh, cliffhanger. Awesome. So it was a great.
The whole season, from top to bottom, gave me a sense of, like, there were parts of it, and I think it's just for storytelling and moving it forward, that were like kind of trope-ish. Like, we're going to use storytelling tropes to move whatever. But overall, it renewed, like, I remember throughout, after certain episodes, you and I would talk about it. I would talk to my brother about it. There was so many conversations that were like, what does this mean? And for nothing.
There's definitely more to chew on in this series than the just general episodes let you believe.
Yeah. And
if you this, and that's one of the great things about this particular series, is like, if you know jack shit about Star Wars, you can love this series. It's a great show just in general. But if you love Star Wars and you've been with it since forever, you see all this stuff and it makes you love it more.
It one works of those on a lot of different levels.
It works off that thing of, like, Jon Favreau grew up watching Star Wars. He knows what's up. And, like, so did probably most of these other directors and whatever.
And let me say this. Kudos to motherfucking Jon Favreau. And really, like, Dave Filoni, Feige, all of those motherfuckers. Like, I don't want to go cheesy and be like, thank you. But it really is a breath of fresh air to watch. If you go to the entirety of the Marvel of the MCU, and then they're dipping their toe into Star Wars here, you can tell when something's made by someone who still has VHS copies of shit and comic books in a storage thing in their house. Like,
yeah. Someone who the property that they're dealing with is near and dear to them as well. It's kind of impressive, and you can see the love and care that kind of goes into episodes, series like this, where you're like, yeah, someone cares, like, a lot. And they wanted to make not only something that was, like, fun and entertaining for people to watch, but something that they would probably want to watch themselves, just to share with their kids, and to like have other people have similar experiences growing up watching Star Wars. Just it's invigorating, really. Like, and I feel like this is like a nice kind of invigorating introduction into Star Wars lore and the series and where it can go and what it can do.
Yeah, there's certain gaps, and I'll say from the 3 trilogies, there's certain time gaps that are, for me, important and cherished. I'm not going to say Clone Wars time, because 7 seasons should answer a lot of questions about that.
Jesus.
Definitely the time between 3 and 4, there, even though there's a lot of material there that's already been made, there's still a lot of open questions about that time. Plus, it is awesome to see badass version of, like, Darth Vader in his prime.
Yeah.
Doing Darth Vader stuff.
Whatever that might be. Just general, like, hardcore Darth Vader being a ruthless Sith Lord, like having people fear him in like knowing why he had such a reputation.
Yeah.
In 4, 5, and 6 of like why people were afraid of him.
The time between episode 4 and 5, I know the Disney Star Wars crew has kind of dipped their toe in there, but whatever. But between Empire and Jedi, that's a huge, originally very sacred time.
Right.
With Shadows of the Empire and all the stories of what Leia, Lando, and Luke were doing in preparation,
And Chewbacca,
and Chewie. Yes,
Chewbacca, you can't.
that's my fault.
You can't. I mean, he didn't get a medal for like 20 some years. Like,
Yeah,
we gotta
let me
include him.
not overlook Chewie.
Yeah.
That I 100% apologize for that. But also, any time between that big segment between Jedi and Force Awakens, which is I would think is probably the biggest one, because it's almost like the passing of the guard. 1 through 6 is still, for all intents and purposes, it's the same company, the same vision, the same creator. It comes from the same womb. Right?
Yeah,
And so between 6 and,
metaphorical womb,
Yeah.
not a real womb.
we're not saying that George Lucas has a literal womb. However,
and birthed anything.
yeah, so between Return of the Jedi, when you have the, that almost iconic ending that's been futzed with too much, I think. And you go to episode 7 and you see that now this whole universe is kind of like, it feels different. Mm-hmm. And it feels different due to the passage of, like, it still feels like Star Wars, but in addition to it feeling different in the lore, like time has passed and stuff hasn't gone the way we thought it would when we were 7, it also feels different, like there's a different puppeteer here now. So that time between 6 and 7, you kind of feel like you want to know more about how the strings went from one end to the other.
Yeah,
And I think this gives us enough meat, at least in the first 8 episodes, to talk about that.
yeah, because Cara Dune in some places talks about how she went from being like kicking some doors and blow some stuff up and being a badass and guns blazing, going into war and explosions and stuff too. I babysat dignitaries while they were going from one place to another, and I left because it was miserable. Like these pampered little nobodies who want to like make themselves feel bigger than they actually are, and like I am sitting there with a assault rifle, like escorting them around. I was like, she said like I didn't want to go do guard duty. So I wanted to get back out there and do something important. So she left. So, and like it kind of made you feel like, okay, so where's the structure of everything else? And it gives you some ground to lay on. I still don't know. Unfortunately, because time is a thing in books, I don't know what the structure of the universe is at the point where, when did the Galactic Empire fall and slowly become replaced by the First Order? Like, I don't know that process or whatever. And then, like, the New Republic, did they take over Coruscant? Because that's not the, like, as far as for what I've read, the Coruscant is still controlled by the First Order. So, like, that's still their home, like, primary planet. But the Republic had another planet, and that was one of the planets that got blown up by Starkiller Base because they had a different center of government.
Yeah.
And all kinds of, like, there's a lot of stuff that's like going on in the galaxy that we don't have any kind of clue about. So.
One of the things that I get from this, from the Mandalorian on the back end, and it can kind of almost be an allegory for life in general, but I get the sense that the Empire has fallen, but there's pockets where they're trying to rebuild in the outskirts.
Well, where they still had outposts, and they probably weren't in any direct war with the rebellion. So it's kind of like, I mean, as far as like comparing it to something that we might know more about, is the fall of the Roman Empire. Like, Rome was sacked, and then they moved their capital somewhere else, and then everyone else that was in charge of these like hamlets and towns and garrisons and whatever was kind of left to defend on their own.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, they kind of all became their own governments and built their own thing, and, you know,
you could even make kind of an allegory to, like, the fall of Nazi Germany, where there's still Nazis in the world, like, right now. There's dudes that wear swastikas to this day, but they're just not in where they used to be, you know, like, they're in, like, you know, they get the slot after the AA meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
To do whatever, but I kind of feel it's like that. Like, they're going to do some crazy shit in different pockets, and they're always there, right? Like,
yeah,
but they, and that happens. Sometimes you get rid of like the power center of something, and it's almost like Hydra. Like, you got rid of it, but there's still
it's
stuff
all
over there.
Yeah, there's still stuff all over the place. Like, yeah, they don't have any like direct input and like smashing power for like blanketing rules across everyone else.
They
but
can't
like,
fund the creation of another Death Star yet. But
so wait until this garrison gets email back up and running. They'll start another planet killing thing. I can. It's like 9 movies, and what is it? 4 of them are about planet killing things. Like planet killing devices. So
yeah, we always jump to that.
The biggest who's got the biggest stick? Whatever.
Wits. He meant to say wits, because that's what we measure is wits.
The biggest stick? I thought I was like, you know, Theodore Roosevelt, who was like,
yes.
I speak softly and carry a big stick. These are the other guys carrying a bigger stick, and everyone's got a stick, and it's nuclear deterrence. And but the problem with having the Empire and like, oh, we've got a planet killer, and it's like, well, nobody else wants to kill planets. so like, why do we want to build a planet killer to fight your planet killer? What's the point?
Just hyperspace into your planet killer and blow it up.
The Holdo maneuver. So yeah, there's so much to it, but like I've enjoyed the in-depth. I enjoy the broadening of the galaxy, the everything that happened. Like, give us more. Like, that's the complaint I had about the episodes being so short. Is I just want more.
Yeah,
I just wanted more of it.
I'm looking forward to season 2.
Season 2. I'm looking forward to. Are we going to do an episode about what's coming up, or are we going to do?
Yeah, we can do that.
So that's going to be separate from this?
Well, there's a lot coming up, so it's probably going to be a whole thing.
All right, we'll have a part 4.
Well, this was part. This is part 4. This is or part 3. It depends on how you cut it.
Yeah. This is our
2019 redux.
This is the 2019 Star Wars wrap up, as brought to you by End of a Species.
What will be coming is we will be going over things that are coming, but just note that we're not looking at rumors, and we're not looking at articles that say someone close to this person that's close to the thing, because those people are not real. They don't exist. I'm just gonna come out and say it. So we will be looking at what's been announced by Disney and by Lucas and by ILM and like official things that are coming. So similar to Marvel, if it's not on that whole tapestry of movies that they announced,
it's not happening.
We don't consider it happening, because it's a 50-50 chance that the rumor's true.
Proof or it's fake news.
Yeah. And I need a name and somebody who can say something directly to J.J. Abrams or to Kathleen Kennedy and say, yeah, I said it. Otherwise, I don't believe you.
It's all lies.
It's all, stuff that I'm going to ignore. So I am Jeff. You can find me on Twitter at Zeus, letter N, Jeff. More on that one day. And
I'm Adam, and I can be found at the symbol of at Tatooine Hermit on Instagram, where I've started promoting our channel a little bit there.
I noticed.
There's some stuff like, hey, if you're following me here, you should follow me there too. Like, I don't know why you want to see my random ass pictures and thoughts that I form there that are only a blurb when you could come here for so much content. We talk for forever, and it's just the ramblings of a mental patient here. It's just
recovered.
Yeah,
we have day passes.
Yeah, they let us out. They let us out to the store, and we can buy Oreos and then come back.
I don't know if season 1 of our podcast is drawing to a close because I haven't thought that far. I don't plan well, but if it is,
because we got other stuff we're doing.
Yeah, we got a ton of other stuff. But if it is, or when it does, we're going to be filling it in with some streaming, so you can find us on Twitch, and we'll be going into other themes in future.
Yeah. We're going to retouch, general titles that, like, when new information or new irritations pop up, we'll talk about, like, how our species is dying for the sake of whatever reason. I don't know. Just, we're almost taking, like, an intentional turn towards self-obliteration.
If you have any evidence of how our species is, it's a wrap. It's over. Let us know. Let us know if there's a thing out there, some sort of a guilty pleasure.
If you haven't been able to tell, we love to dialogue, and you can suggest a topic, and if we don't know anything about it, we'll at least research it a little bit and then give you our opinion on it.
Yeah,
and our opinion is important because we said so. We said so.
Absolutely. We are the foremost authority on everything.
Yeah, So a couple of guys in their 30s, or no, you've crossed that threshold.
I'm gonna curse at you.
You mentioned it yourself.
But you said that specifically. I know. I felt it. I felt it in my bones. You're gonna get cussed out at some point.
I am. I get cussed out on the regular, so it's not new to me.
Then you're used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're used to it.
Go ahead. Show me. I dare you to tell me something I haven't heard before.
I'm not biting the bait.
Not here, but like off.
Yeah, somewhere where it won't get us canceled.
Yeah.
#cancel.
So anyway, we appreciate the love and support.
Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends.
Repost, retweet, reimagine.
But don't hashtag.
Do we have a hashtag?
No, that's why you won't hashtag.
Oh.
I refuse.
You refuse to hashtag? I might start hashtagging us on my Instagram. Just
all day.
Hashtag end of a species.
Yeah, I will.
We'll put our symbol next to pictures of like the dodo and other extinct animals. They'll be like, "What is?"
Signed up for next on this.
Yeah. So. Oh man.
All right. So we will see you guys next time. And this has been EoaS, End of a Species.
Peace out, yo.